Ivy, and today we're going to be making our very own pet rocks, but not actual rocks. We're going to be using fabric and cotton balls to make sure that they are nice and soft, so maybe you can sleep with it if you want or keep it in your pocket. But it's not an actual rock, but it's still gonna be just as amazing. So our materials for today are going to be some fabric. Here I have a part of fabric from an old pair of pajama pants. You could use an old t-shirt, whatever you like. We're gonna need a Sharpie or a marker to make your lines with. You're also going to need scissors, thread, and a needle. But if you don't want to use that, you can also use hot glue instead. And we also have cotton balls to stuff our pet rock with. So as you can see, I've drawn a circular shape on the inside of my pajama pants because the outside has a design. And it's just circular shape, whatever shape you want your pet rock to be, but I suppose a circular shape would be best. And we're going to cut this out using our scissors. It doesn't have to be perfect because we are going to be flipping it inside out, so you won't be able to see the lines that you've cut. Once you've cut out your first side of your rock, you're going to take it and put it right up against the rest of your fabric so you have a rough guideline on what the other side should look like. And you're going to outline it, and it doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be similar. Once you've done that, you can do the exact same thing and cut this one out as well. Now that we've got our two pieces of fabric, which we're going to use for our pet rock, we can get our needle and thread ready. So I'm going to pick out the biggest needle I can find in here just to make it easier. And I also have with me some thread that I'm going to be using. Now you want to pick out a lot of thread because you're gonna need to go all around. And since we're going to be threading it through the needle, as you do with needles and threads, you have to make sure it is double the length you want it to be. So make sure you have a lot out. And just to make it a little bit easier, we're going to cut off the edge of the thread because there's usually a little thing that makes it hard to get it through the needle hole. But now that we've got a nice sharp edge, we can thread it through. And as you can see, we've got it through the needle. Make sure you have lots of thread, and it's better to have way too much thread than not have enough. I think I actually have too much here. And you're going to cut it where one end meets the rest. And there you go. Before we get threading, we have to make sure we have a knot at the bottom. So we are gonna take our finger and use it to make a little loop like this. And that's going to be where we loop the thread through, and that is going to be our knot. Now I like to do a double knot just in case. Make sure it's exactly on the same spot as the knot before it, and not like one knot's over here and one knot's over there. You want to make sure they're on top of each other so it makes a nice big knot. And last thing before we get threading is we're going to make sure that there's no extra left. Before we get sewing, we're going to make sure we have the outside of our fabric inward, so my hearts are going to be inside because after we're going to flip it inside out to hide our stitches. So now that you've got the design on the inside, we're going to take our needle and thread And you can start anywhere you like, but remember we're going to only be threading on the edges, and your lines should be a good guideline for that. So before you do thread, make sure when you put your needle through your fabric, you're not putting it right on the edge of the fabric, like up here. You're going to leave a little bit of space, as so. You can see that there is a little bit of space, and make sure that both sides of the fabric go through, like the needle goes through both sides of the fabric, and you're not just going through one piece of fabric. And once you've got that through, you want to pull it, and your knot should be secure. And you can go either or whichever way you like, but once you go in one direction, you got to stick to it. So I'm gonna go this way, and now that it's pointing outwards like this, we're going to go inwards. And again, we're going to make sure that it is getting both sides of the fabric. And we're going to pull it through just like that. And that is our first stitch. And now our needle and thread is on this side. We're going to do the exact same thing and make sure we're getting both sides of the fabric. And we're going to do that not all the way around, about up until halfway. And that is when we're going to flip it inside out and start filling it with our cotton balls. So as you are threading it through, make sure you don't pull it too tight, because then it starts bunching up. So make sure your fabric isn't scrunched up like that. So as you can see, we've made it about halfway, and we want to leave this part open so that we can fill it with our cotton balls. So what we're going to do is tie a knot right here so that we can cut off our thread and flip our unfinished pet rock inside out. Wow, that knot is like so far away. Make sure your knot is close to where your thread ends and not too far away, like all the way over here, because then it won't be useful. Once you've made your knot, you can cut off the thread, and now you can flip your fabric inside out just like that. And you should have a little pouch, and we're going to just fill that up with some cotton balls. Once it's nice and full, you can finish threading the rest, and make sure you have a knot on your new thread. So just like we were doing before, we're going to make sure we get both sides of the fabric and do the exact same thing until our fabric is all sealed. Once you've got it all the way through, you can make sure it's nice and pulled tight. And we're going to make sure we have a knot at the end. Try to make sure your knot is very close to where your thread ends off again, and make sure it's not all the way over there. You might need a little bit of help for this. And it's okay if your knot is all the way over here, because you can just retie it and get it closer the next time. So as you can see, I'm using my thumb to kind of push it down. And we're going to double knot it just in case. Now that we're done, we can cut off the rest of the thread. And now we have the base for our little pet rock. As you can see, we have a little bit of extra fabric. I'm just going to snip that off. We are done with the base of our rock, and for our finishing touches, you can either use googly eyes and hot glue them on, or you can just draw on your very own eyes. And we're gonna give it a little smile as well. And there you go, you have your very own DIY, very soft, very cute pet rock. Thank you so much for joining me today, BGC family. I hope you liked today's craft with Ivy, and I look forward to seeing you all very soon.
Thanks for joining the Summer Camp Pals for another great video. For more videos like this, be sure to follow us on Facebook and subscribe on YouTube. We've got great activities for you to follow along with all summer. If you want to hang out with the BGC Pals in person, be sure to check out our after-school program at 20 locations across Durham region, get connected with one of our great evening programs in the fall, or join one of our other amazing programs. You can find details about all of these programs and more at bgcdurham.com. See you next time!